both invest in stocks and in
Yep.
bonds. Which do you feel is more, not to make it sound like I'm lazy, but which do you feel is more labor intensive? Or do you put the same amount of work into investing in stocks as you do when picking your bonds?
Well, the bond thing is it's kind of one and done. If your goal is to buy and hold them, it's great because you'll look at an issue and you'll say, what is this? And what my dad always told me is, how do you get paid back? It's a sewage, it's a water treatment plant. It's a sewage company. You're like, I kind of get it. People flush their toilets. I get paid back. Everybody wins. If it is
nobody dies of dysentery.
Nobody dies of dysentery. If it's an airport bond, and it's backed by the airport, well, O'Hare Airport. I feel Chicago is not doing great, but I think O'Hare Airport probably has a pretty good chance of being around for a while. So I feel pretty good about that. But once that investment is made, I'm done because I'm not trading that, and because that's really where you can lose a huge amount of money is when you try to trade these things and you think I'm smarter than everybody else. I know that interest rates are going down this week, and next week they're going to go up, and then they'll go back down. And when you're jumping in and out, you'll incur a lot of expense, and there's capital gains taxes there.
So you actually, here in the Washington, D.C. area, we have this little darling thing called the Metro. And the Metro has been steadily going downhill.
Absolutely.
It's been a mess. Like they shut it down all of a sudden.
Total mess.
A couple weeks ago where they're like, by the way, we're not running on Wednesday. And people were like, what? It's Tuesday at 7 o'clock. And you're telling me you're not, how am I going to get to work? It's in really rough shape. But you,
It's because of the voice.
Yeah.
You're right.
They chose the wrong voice. It's her fault.
They changed that. Things might have been different, huh?
It might not just be a coincidence.
Oh goodness!
But you were thinking you were thinking about investing in one of the new lines here, the silver line. So walk me through why you thought that was okay, even considering that WMATA is kind of like a hot mess right now.
WMATA is a hot mess right now, and I will say this: before, when I made this investment, WMATA was not a hot mess.
You want to explain what WMATA is?
It's the Washington Metro
Area Transit Authority.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So
basically the Metro and some buses.
It's the Metro and some buses. And the Silver Line, which is right outside our house, is where I think it starts, and it goes all the way out to Dulles Airport, and it's basically an extension of our Metro system, so you can take the Metro right to Dulles Airport. It's really being built. I see it going up every day. I've seen it going up for the last couple of years, and it's really going to happen. So there was a bond issued. It pays 5%, and I was interested, so I bought some. And so far, there's huge risk there, right? Because WMATA is doing badly. People are upset about the Metro. The Metro may go bankrupt. The city may close down public transportation. I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe. Who knows? Unclear. Totally unclear. I think we're gonna have a Metro.
This has been investing in bonds with Steve Broido. I don't know. Maybe. Whatever.
I really believe this is that you may lose all of your money there, but I don't think so. I think there's going to be a Metro here. I think WMATA is probably going to get it together. I think the idea of a you've got DC and Virginia and Maryland and all these buses and trains and this whole organization, this idea of it just going away doesn't seem likely to me.
Well, the workforce of the federal government just relies on the Metro to work.
The whole area does. Yeah. But if we were in Detroit, right, if you're investing in a Metro system in Detroit, you might feel differently. But the population of DC is growing. It's not shrinking.
But you don't lose any sleep. Like when you heard that the Metro was going to shut down suddenly for a day, and oh, by the way, they're going to be shutting down whole lines in the future. Does it make you lose sleep, or are you like, whatever, I'll worry about it in 20 years when the bond ripens? What does a bond do? Matures.
Right. So I try to be very diversified. And if if you're diversified,
procreates when it procreates.
If you're diversified enough,
it always has to go there, doesn't it, bro?
Ick. If you're diversified enough, it really doesn't make that much difference. It's just a tiny piece of your portfolio. So it's not something really to lose sleep over. And there will be years, so far, so good. It hasn't defaulted. I don't really think it's going to default, but it could. And that's something that I think people need to be comfortable with is risk, is that there is risk in all investments. There's risk in putting, cash under your mattress. There's risk in playing slot machines. There's risk in buying shares of the S&P 500. There's risk in treasuries.
Let me ask you this. So, okay, let's say you just get a bonus. $5,000, $10,000, whatever.
Congrats. Thank you for all your work.
Yes.
Thank you for your service.
You've been doing a fantastic job. So now you have to decide, I'm going to put this money in the stock market or I'm going to go buy some bonds. When you're making that decision, is it which is going to provide the highest potential return? Or is it when you buy bonds, you know that probably the stock market's going to do better, but I like that certainty that I have by buying individual bonds.
It's for me, it's just a balancing act. It's knowing that I work for a company that is a financial media company. So we're at greater risk of stock. The stock market may impact us in ways that won't impact my wife, who works for the federal government. So that's something. I invest in our 401k plan, and I invest in all stocks in that. I've got a Roth IRA, and that's an all stock. So it's a balancing act. So it's a little bit here, a little bit there, and it's trying to kind of diversify your portfolio in such a way that a little bit's here, a little bit's there, and making sure it's so I'm comfortable. And so there's regular income coming in that I can choose to do something with, annually.
Sounds great.
Sold.
Yeah.
I hope I haven't bored you all to death. Are you all bored to death?
No, that was great. I thought that was great. In particular, tying in your job, because a lot of people don't tie their human capital into their investment capital.
Yeah.
But I feel the same way. I have at times invested more conservatively because I work for the Motley Fool, a company whose fortunes do rely on whether the stock market is doing well to a certain degree. And I think that makes perfect sense.
And this is a terrible time to be a bond investor. I just can't echo that enough. The yields are very, very low. But if you've got enough money and you're comfortable with the promise that you're getting and the yield that you're receiving, and you can sleep at night, good on you, man.
So for someone who's sold, now they're in it, they want to learn more about investing in municipal bonds, individual municipal bonds. What's the next step they should take?
I would say maybe give your broker a call and say, I'm thinking about this. Talk to me about it. What do you think? And take a look at them. There's in your brokerage account, there's a tab called bonds, and take a look at what's available.
See what's in my backyard.
Yeah, see what's trading and what things are trading for, what the yields are in corporate bonds. It's the same deal. I don't buy corporate bonds because I'd rather just buy the stocks themselves. I don't feel like there's enough reward there, and the risk that I'm taking, I'd rather take it through the stock itself. But in terms of municipal bonds, with some of them, I'm very, very happy with some of the yields I'm getting.
For those who want to learn more just about bonds in general, investinginbonds.com is actually a great resource because it's got a lot of good education, but a lot of recent data on the bond market. For those who want a good book, there's a book called The Bond Book by Annette Thau. It was written a few years ago, so the interest rate examples and stuff will be different, but it's a great primer on bonds. And if you're looking for a good bond fund, start with Vanguard because they have plenty of good options and at extremely low costs. And when it comes to all investing, costs matter, but it's even more important when it comes to bonds.